You know what's fascinating? Right now, at this very moment, you are enough, you are complete, you are whole. And yet, how many of us spend our entire lives searching for something outside of ourselves to make us feel complete? We look for it in relationships, in jobs, in possessions, in achievements, in other people's approval. We keep thinking that if we just get that one thing, if we just reach that goal, if we just find that person, then finally we'll feel like we've arrived. Then finally we'll know our purpose. Then finally we'll feel worthy. But here's the truth that can set you free right now. What you're looking for isn't out there. It never was. Everything you need, everything you're meant to be, everything you're meant to do is already inside you. It's been there all along. You were born with it. You came into this world with a unique set of gifts, talents, abilities, and a purpose that only you can fulfill. Nobody else can do what you're here to do. Nobody else has your exact combination of experiences, insights, and capabilities. Think about an acorn for a moment. Inside that tiny seed is everything it needs to become a mighty oak tree. The oak tree isn't somewhere out there that the acorn has to go find. It's not hiding in the forest waiting to be located. The oak tree is already within the acorn. All the acorn needs to do is what comes naturally. It doesn't struggle, it doesn't doubt itself. It doesn't look at other acorns and think, maybe I should become a pine tree instead. It simply allows what's already inside to emerge and grow. It trusts the process. It trusts its own nature. You are exactly like that acorn. Everything you're meant to become is already encoded within you. Your purpose isn't something you need to find. It's something you need to allow. It's something you need to trust. It's something you need to stop resisting and start expressing. But somewhere along the way, most of us forgot this fundamental truth. We started believing that we're not enough as we are. We started thinking that our worth depends on external validation. We started looking outside ourselves for answers that can only be found within. When you were born, you didn't doubt yourself. You didn't question your worth. You didn't wonder if you were good enough. You simply were. You expressed yourself freely. When you were hungry, you cried. When you were happy, you laughed. When you wanted to move, you moved. You were completely authentic, completely yourself, without apology or hesitation. You trusted your instincts completely. You knew what you needed and you asked for it. You knew what brought you joy and you pursued it. You were connected to your inner guidance system, and you followed it without question. But then something happened. You started getting messages from the world around you. Messages that said you should be different. Messages that said you should fit in. Messages that said you should follow the rules, color inside the lines, be practical, be realistic, stop dreaming so much. You learned that love and approval were conditional. You learned that you had to perform in certain ways to be accepted. You learned that your natural impulses couldn't always be trusted. And slowly, gradually, you disconnected from that inner knowing. You stopped listening to that voice inside you that knows exactly who you are and what you're meant to do. Now, years later, you find yourself searching for something that you already have. You find yourself trying to become someone that you already are. You find yourself looking for a purpose that's been waiting patiently inside you all along, just hoping you'll notice it. And the beautiful thing is, it's not too late. It doesn't matter how long you've been disconnected from your true self. It doesn't matter how many wrong turns you think you've taken. It doesn't matter how much time you feel you've wasted. Your purpose is still there. Your gifts are still there. Your authentic self is still there, waiting for you to come home. The search outside yourself will never satisfy you because what you're truly seeking cannot be found in external circumstances. You can accumulate all the success in the world, and if you're not connected to your inner truth, you'll still feel empty. You can have all the recognition, all the money, all the possessions, and still feel like something's missing. Because what's missing isn't a thing. What's missing is the connection to yourself. What's missing is the recognition that you already are what you've been trying to become. When you understand that your purpose is within you, everything changes. You stop chasing, you stop struggling, you stop trying to force things to happen. Instead, you start allowing, you start listening, you start trusting. You begin to notice the gentle nudges from within. You pay attention to what brings you alive. You follow your curiosity. You honor your interests. You express your unique perspective. You share your gifts without needing permission or validation from anyone else. Your purpose isn't some grand cosmic assignment that you need to decode. It's much simpler than that. Your purpose is to be yourself. Your purpose is to express what wants to be expressed through you. Your purpose is to share your unique light with the world. It might show up as art, as teaching, as healing, as building, as nurturing, as creating, as serving. It might look different in different seasons of your life, but the common thread is always the same. It feels aligned. It feels true. It feels like you're being yourself, not trying to be someone else. You see, the world doesn't need another person trying to be someone they're not. The world has enough people playing it safe, following the crowd, doing what they think they should do instead of what they feel called to do. The world needs you to be you. The world needs your unique expression. There's a space in this universe that only you can fill. There's a contribution that only you can make. There's a song that only you can sing. And when you hold back that expression, when you deny your authentic self, when you keep searching outside yourself for what's already within, you're not just depriving yourself of fulfillment, you're depriving the world of your gifts. Think about the people who have inspired you most in your life. Were they inspiring because they were trying to be like someone else? Were they inspiring because they followed the safe path? Were they inspiring because they sought everyone's approval? No. They were inspiring because they were authentically themselves. They were inspiring because they trusted their inner guidance. They were inspiring because they expressed what was true for them, even when it was scary, even when it was different, even when others didn't understand. That's what the world is hungry for. That's what touches people. That's what creates real change. Not people who have it all figured out, not people who are perfect, not people who never struggle or doubt, but people who are willing to be real. People who are willing to be vulnerable, people who are willing to show up as their authentic selves, imperfections and all. And here's what's so freeing about this. When you stop trying to be something you're not, life gets so much easier. The struggle isn't in being yourself. The struggle is in trying to be someone else. The struggle is in trying to meet everyone else's expectations. The struggle is in looking outside yourself for validation. When you come home to yourself, when you reconnect with your inner truth, there's a natural ease that emerges. Things start to flow, doors start to open, opportunities start to appear. Not because you're forcing them, but because you're finally aligned with who you really are. This doesn't mean that challenges disappear. It doesn't mean that everything becomes effortless. But it means that even when things are difficult, you're facing those difficulties as your authentic self. You're not adding the extra burden of pretending to be someone you're not. You're not carrying the weight of trying to live up to external expectations. You're simply being yourself and dealing with life from that place of truth. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, but I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm meant to do. I don't feel connected to any inner guidance, and that's okay. That's actually a perfect place to start. Because the very fact that you're aware of that disconnection means you're ready to reconnect. The very fact that you're searching means something inside you is waking up. The way back to yourself isn't complicated. It doesn't require years of therapy or meditation or soul searching, although those things can certainly help. The way back to yourself simply requires that you start paying attention. Start noticing what lights you up. Start noticing what feels true for you. Start noticing when you feel most alive, most authentic, most yourself. Start noticing what you do that makes time disappear. Start noticing what you care about, what moves you, what makes you feel passionate. And equally important, start noticing what drains you. Start noticing what feels false. Start noticing when you're pretending, when you're performing, when you're trying to be someone you're not. Start noticing what you do out of obligation versus what you do out of genuine desire. These observations are like breadcrumbs leading you back home to yourself. You also need to start questioning the beliefs you've been carrying. So many of the things we believe about ourselves aren't even our own beliefs. They're beliefs we absorb from our parents, our teachers, our culture, our past experiences. We heard them so many times that we started accepting them as truth. But they're not truth. They're just thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. Maybe you've been believing that you're not creative. But is that really true? Or did someone once tell you that and you just accepted it? Maybe you've been believing that you're not good enough. But is that really true? Or is that just a story you've been telling yourself based on some past experiences? Maybe you've been believing that you need to have everything figured out before you can start. But is that really true? Or is that just fear disguising itself as practicality? When you start questioning these beliefs, when you start seeing them for what they are, just thoughts and not truths, you create space for something new. You create space for your authentic self to emerge. You create space for your inner guidance to be heard. You create space for your purpose to reveal itself. And here's something crucial to understand. Your purpose doesn't have to be something big and grand and world-changing. It doesn't have to be your job or your career. It doesn't have to be something that makes you famous or wealthy or recognized. Your purpose is simply about being true to yourself and expressing that truth in whatever ways feel right to you. It might be as simple as bringing kindness to everyone you meet. It might be about creating beauty in small ways. It might be about raising your children with love and consciousness. It might be about being fully present in whatever work you do, no matter what that work is. The mistake so many people make is thinking that purpose has to be something spectacular. They think they have to start a movement or change the world or do something that's never been done before. And while some people are called to those kinds of expressions, most of us are called to something much more ordinary and yet equally important. We're called to simply be ourselves, to share our unique gifts in our own unique ways, to touch the lives that we're meant to touch. You don't need to compare your purpose to anyone else's. You don't need to make your purpose bigger or smaller or different than it is. You just need to honor it. You just need to express it. You just need to trust it. Because when you're living from your authentic self, when you're expressing what's true for you, you're fulfilling your purpose. It's that simple. And something magical happens when you start living this way. You stop feeling like you're searching for something. You stop feeling like something's missing. You stop feeling like you need to prove yourself or become someone different. You feel complete exactly as you are. You feel peaceful. You feel purposeful. Not because you've achieved some external goal, but because you're finally being yourself. This is the greatest freedom there is. This is what all the searching has really been about. Not finding something outside yourself, but remembering what's inside yourself. Not becoming someone new, but returning to who you've always been underneath all the conditioning and beliefs and fears. Not discovering some hidden purpose, but allowing your natural purpose to express itself. You came into this world with everything you need. You came in whole and complete and perfect just as you are. And yes, you're meant to grow and evolve and learn and change. But that growth doesn't happen by trying to become someone you're not. That growth happens by becoming more fully yourself. It happens by peeling away the layers of false beliefs and conditioning and fear that have covered up your true nature. It happens by remembering what you knew when you were born, that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are here for a reason. Think about how much energy you've been spending on the search. Think about how exhausting it's been trying to find yourself outside yourself. Think about how much stress you've experienced trying to meet everyone else's expectations. Think about how much anxiety you felt wondering if you're on the right path. Now think about what would happen if you took all that energy and redirected it inward. What would happen if instead of searching, you simply listened? What would happen if instead of trying to become something, you simply allowed yourself to be? The answers you seek are not in another book, another seminar, another person, another achievement. The answers are in the quiet moments when you stop all the seeking and simply be with yourself. The answers are in that still small voice inside that's been trying to get your attention all along. The answers are in the feelings that arise when you do something that truly matters to you. The answers are in the peace you feel when you stop pretending and start being real. And yes, listening to that inner voice requires courage. Being yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you into someone else requires courage. Following your own path when everyone else thinks you should follow theirs requires courage. But here's what I want you to understand. You already have that courage. It's inside you right now. It's part of what you were born with. You've used it before, even if you don't remember. You used it when you were a child and you expressed yourself freely. You've used it every time you've been true to yourself, even in small ways. The courage isn't something you need to find or develop or create. It's something you need to trust. It's something you need to access. It's something that emerges naturally when you connect with your authentic self. Because your authentic self isn't afraid. Your authentic self knows its worth. Your authentic self trusts the process of life. It's only the false self, the conditioned self, the self that's been taught to doubt and fear and play small, that feels afraid. When you connect with who you really are, fear doesn't disappear, but it no longer controls you. You feel the fear and you move forward anyway. You feel the doubt and you trust yourself anyway. You feel the uncertainty and you take the next step anyway. Because you're connected to something larger than your fear. You're connected to your truth. You're connected to your purpose. You're connected to the part of you that knows you're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to do, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. And let me tell you something else that's important. This isn't a destination. This isn't something you achieve once and then you're done. This is a practice. This is a daily choice. This is a constant returning to yourself. Because life will still throw challenges at you. People will still have opinions about how you should live. Circumstances will still arise that test you. And in those moments, you'll have a choice. You can abandon yourself and go back to seeking outside yourself, or you can come home to yourself and trust what's within. Every time you choose to trust yourself, you strengthen that connection. Every time you choose to express your truth, you honor your purpose. Every time you choose to be authentic, you become more fully yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never doubting or never struggling. It's about choosing yourself over and over again. It's about remembering over and over again that what you seek is not out there, but in here. You know, one of the most powerful shifts you can make is moving from asking, what should I do, to asking, who am I? Because when you know who you are, what you should do becomes obvious. When you're connected to your authentic self, your choices become clear. When you're aligned with your inner truth, your path reveals itself. You don't need someone else to tell you what to do. You don't need another self-help book or another guru or another system. You need to listen to yourself. You need to trust yourself. You need to be yourself. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop searching for your purpose and start being yourself, your purpose finds you. When you stop trying to figure out what you're meant to do and start doing what feels true, your path unfolds. When you stop looking outside yourself for validation and start validating yourself from within, everything you've been seeking starts showing up. Not because you finally found it out there, but because you finally allowed it to emerge from within. This is available to you right now, not someday when you have more clarity, not someday when you feel more ready, not someday when circumstances are better. Right now, in this moment, you can choose to stop the endless searching and start being. You can choose to stop trying to become someone else and start expressing who you are. You can choose to stop looking for your purpose out there and start living your purpose from within. What would that look like for you? What would it feel like to trust yourself completely? What would it feel like to express yourself fully? What would it feel like to know, without a doubt, that you are enough exactly as you are? What would it feel like to live from that place of inner knowing rather than external validation? What would change in your life if you finally came home to yourself? These aren't rhetorical questions. These are invitations. Invitations to feel into your truth. Invitations to connect with your authentic self. Invitations to remember what you've always known but perhaps forgotten, that you are whole, you are complete, you are enough, and everything you need is already within you. The oak tree doesn't search for its oakness, the river doesn't search for its flow, the sun doesn't search for its light. They simply are what they are. They simply express what they're meant to express. They simply fulfill their purpose by being themselves. And you can do the same. You can stop searching and start being. You can stop trying and start allowing. You can stop forcing and start flowing. This doesn't mean you become passive. This doesn't mean you stop growing or learning or evolving. This means you stop struggling against yourself. This means you stop trying to be someone you're not. This means you align yourself with your true nature and allow that nature to guide you. There's tremendous power in this. There's tremendous peace in this. There's tremendous purpose in this. When you live this way, you stop needing life to be different than it is. You stop needing yourself to be different than you are. You stop needing other people to validate you or complete you or give you permission to be yourself. You become free. Not free from challenges or responsibilities or difficulties, but free to face all of life as your authentic self. Free to express your truth. Free to live your purpose. Free to be who you really are. And what you'll find when you live this way is that life supports you. Not in some magical, everything becomes perfect kind of way, but in a real, tangible, you start noticing synchronicities and opportunities kind of way. When you're aligned with your authentic self, you naturally attract people and circumstances that resonate with that authenticity. When you're expressing your truth, you naturally find outlets for that expression. When you're being yourself, life has a way of working with you rather than against you. This is not about wishful thinking or positive affirmations or pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about something much more fundamental. This is about aligning with the truth of who you are. This is about recognizing that you are not separate from the creative intelligence that runs through all of life. You are an expression of that intelligence. You are a unique manifestation of the same force that grows trees and moves planets and beats your heart without you having to think about it. That force is within you right now. That intelligence is accessible to you in every moment. That creative power is yours to use, not by manipulating or controlling or forcing, but by allowing and trusting and expressing. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is not to have all the answers. Your job is simply to be yourself. And let that universal intelligence work through you in its own unique way. This is why searching outside yourself will never work. Because what you're looking for is not an object or a person or a circumstance. What you're looking for is a connection to yourself, a connection to your truth, a connection to the part of you that knows why you're here and what you're meant to express. And that connection can only be made by turning inward, by getting quiet, by listening, by trusting, by being. So I invite you now to stop. Stop the endless searching. Stop the constant trying. Stop the exhausting effort to become someone you think you should be. Stop looking outside yourself for what can only be found within. Just stop. And in that stopping, in that stillness, in that silence, listen. Listen to the voice that's been trying to get your attention all along. Listen to the yearnings of your heart. Listen to the wisdom of your body. Listen to the knowing of your soul. What is it telling you? What does it want to express? What does it need you to know? What is it calling you to do or be or create or share? Don't dismiss it. Don't judge it. Don't tell yourself it's not practical or possible or good enough. Just listen. Just receive. Just allow. Because in that listening, in that receiving, in that allowing, you'll find what you've been searching for all along. You'll find yourself. You'll find your purpose. You'll find your peace. Not because you finally located it somewhere outside yourself, but because you finally remembered it was inside yourself all along. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. You do not need to become someone else. You need to remember who you are. You need to reconnect with your truth. You need to express what's been waiting to be expressed. You need to trust what's been waiting to be trusted. You need to be what you've always been underneath all the conditioning and fear and doubt. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your life. And it's waiting for you to show up fully, authentically, courageously as yourself. Not the self you think you should be, not the self others expect you to be, but the self you truly are. The self that knows, the self that trusts, the self that's whole and complete and enough exactly as it is. Stop searching. Start being. Stop trying. Start allowing. Stop forcing. Start flowing. Stop doubting. Start trusting. Stop pretending. Start expressing. The answer is within you. The purpose is within you. The peace is within you. Everything you've been looking for is within you. It always has been. It always will be. You just need to come home to yourself and let it emerge. That's all that's required. That's all that's ever been required. Not a grand search, not a difficult journey, just a simple return. A return to yourself, a return to your truth, a return to the knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, that you are exactly who and what you need to be. Right here, right now, in this moment, always,